Let's see. Oh. Go away. A different app popped up and just minimized this game entirely. Anyway, back to it. What are those frames in the back room, Fel? A caravan train of symbols slowly materialize around Fel, one by one. You think he's saying it as a gallery of some sort, a gallery of you. The next part is difficult to translate, but you think that Fel is saying he's sad for you. Sad? Why? I'm marked and tormented. Yep, because we know about that symbol now too. Admires you for enduring losses. I think we've all read this all before, but it's kind of bringing stuff into context a bit. And don't sign anything during your travels. Yeah, we talked about not feeling complete before. Let's look at the store. But anyway, so now we know being marked and tormented was more literal than expected. We have a torment mark on our severed arm. That's potentially not great for us. +1 to armor class. +9 to base hit points. +2 constitution for any fighter. Probably want that. +2 intelligence for a mage. +2 strength for a fighter. Grossix Demise. That's a limited use thing. Tattoo of Death and Life invokes Raised Dead, usable only by the Nameless One. The tattoo tells you tells of how you saved Dimtreat's life by granting him a second death. Whether it was the intensity of Dimtreat's gratitude or the channeling of the power in the words you spoke to free him, this tattoo now allows you to draw from that experience and pull someone back from the brink of death. Only works 3 times. I already have Raised Dead, though. I guess it's a stopgap if you never found the other one. Let's see, the Mage's one. Oh. Covered entirely in burns, he doesn't have spots for mages, so what's this one? Protection from chaotic creatures. You hold these keys. She also has no tattoo slots. Okay, 50% of our party can't have tattoos. You have 3 slots, you have 3 slots, and you have 3 slots. I have +2 AC, +2 wisdom, +1 damage level attacks. Might is probably going to do me more than charisma here. The charisma is fairly high. So did they at least all find a home? We did all right. Protection from chaotic creatures is still hanging out here. And she's chaotic, so she can't have protection from chaotic creatures. Alright, the upgrades all found a slot. I was worried for a moment there that I wouldn't find people to give them to, because I thought I got this party to equip with all this gear. And then most of the newest characters can't wear anything, so not so applicable as expected. Now that we have Morte, what are my remaining things I'm trying to get into? This is just a quest I'm gonna ignore forever, I guess. Find the weakness of the Silent King for many is one. I don't think it seems like a betrayal at this point to... Because, like, the one that gave me her head, like, she seemed like someone I wouldn't want to betray. And meant well. I don't want them all to get obliterated by the rats, necessarily. I was just excited to talk to the rats, but it didn't amount to much, and I'm just kind of bummed out by that. I kind of wanted to talk to them more. But I think that I don't think there's a specific weakness I can use to, like, express to the skeletons what their weakness is. And also, it might be the benefit to everyone that these people, all these forces do not have the upper hand over each other. Still can't get the guy's knife because I don't know where the meat is. Need a container to hold this river Styx material in. Dolores Keys to Her Heart is that quest. Just trying to find the Dream Builder thing. Which is, oh yeah, this is what I thought would be in the, I don't remember if that was sensical or not. I don't know if that was evidence-based or if it was a connection that I made incorrectly. It's so hard to remember everything. But I thought I might be inside of the siege machine. One way or another, we've been hinted at repeatedly to check that out, but we don't know how to get inside. And since so much stuff comes down to weird mystery portals whenever we don't know how to get into a place that might be a portal, but I think we still have zero evidence on what that could be. My potential regret while I was buying other tattoos was that I want to buy more stuff here too. The Codex of the Inconceivable. 1,000 copper coins. You examine a rather unassuming book held closed by a tiny brass lock. That, coos Vrishika, is the Codex of the Inconceivable. I'll only say that it's just... Well, I cannot explain it. Mere words simply won't suffice. You can own it yourself for a mere 1,000 copper commons. And believe me, it is well worth it. And if it's not worth it, then I lose all my money. Yes, Vrishka purrs. A wise choice. The copper you pour into her hand seems to disappear the moment it touches your palm. Please, enjoy your newest acquisition. What you had first taken to be a rather unassuming book held closed by a tiny brass lock is in actuality bound in strange leathers and enchanted bronze. It is labeled simply, the Codex of the Inconceivable. Open it and read! You unlock the book's bindings and open it. As you glance over the tome's contents, your jaw drops. You stand, spellbound, flipping through its pages. Its contents are simply too much to be described. Mere words seem powerless to explain the wonders it holds. That was... that...
What? What? What was it, Chief?
I don't know what to say, Morte.
What? What? You gotta be kidding me, right? Come on, let me see it.
Show him the Codex. Morte floats over your shoulder to examine the Codex's contents. His eyes nearly pop from their sockets as they scan the pages.
Oh. Ooh. Oh, But... Wow.
You stand thoughtfully for a moment, looking down at the Codex before closing it and reverently putting the tome away. What? All it gives you is 1,000 experience and a dumb joke? We didn't even do the round table of showing it to everyone and having them all get wowed. Alright, I'm getting a refund. That's such a setback for it to do absolutely nothing. It's just like, what a wacky joke, ha 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 ha. It was cool. It was crazy. It was inconceivable, just like we promised. And then nothing comes of it, though. I'm looking for quest type shit. Cures poisons. Do I get poisoned? Increased regeneration. Invokes Cloud Kill. I wonder if it's reusable. Sledgehammer's pretty garbage. Another abyssal pipe with cloud kill. Ah. I made a mistake. Identified severed arm. Sledgehammer, pipe. Dagger. Mace. My severed arm. +2 crushing damage and 2 new tattoos. Fighting with my own severed arm is quite the move, but I guess they won't sell it now. Got 2 abyssal pipes. It just seems so much more worth selling than using. So this is enchanted and Thaco, which is something. But I can't give these people weapons, so it's just for me, and I already have weapons, so... It's hard to justify using these weapons for these items for their intended purpose when they're relatively valuable to sell. For all sorts of purposes. Just generic maces, generic hatchet. Did one of the things I identified not even turn out to be a thing that's good? The bone dagger. The Batezu Mace, that one faction. Made from ore found in one of the made from ore found only in the wastelands of Avernus. Batezu have created a metal called Batorian green steel. Weapons produced from this metal are lighter and stronger than those forged in ordinary steel, and tend to inflict greater damage. Although produced in greater quantities for the Blood War, weapons such as these are rarely found outside of Bator. 3 to 9 plus 1. It seems not amazing, but it is worth a bit of money. Does this have 10 uses, or do I have 10 of them for 800 each? Because that seems like a lot of money. Invokes magic missile. Limited number of uses. It's handy to have magic missile, but also... This guy can't have any piercings. Is there an earring slot? I thought that was where my eye was. My earring's on the right. Oh, she can wear 2 earrings, but I can only wear 1 earring. I'm only allowed to wear 1 earring, and you're gonna tell me my protagonist has to be straight? Okay. Is there a necklace slot? I guess it's all earrings and rings and wrist guards. Overall, it seems like it does genuinely seem like earrings and that's so good. Earrings and rings that don't have effects just seem to be completely pointless, as I figured from the get-go. At some point it just kind of felt right to just fill the slots up, maybe, but like, nah. If I can sell them, then I should sell them. No one ever wants to buy my rags. Why won't anyone buy my rags? Yeah, this is just too many individual pieces of jewelry all stacking up where I'm like, I could do something with this money if I get rid of these. The exotic items. The back of the store. Speaking of rings, Yevra's ring. You examine a ring in a small padded case. Rishika holds it up so that you can see it more closely. This is Yevra's ring of almost invisibility. It makes its wearer invisible. Well, almost. I will part with it for a meager sum of 349 copper commons. +1 to AC. Sometimes for brief periods, the wearer becomes really, really close to being invisible, an event which is often disconcerting for the attacker and is more difficult for them to strike in combat. Okay, well, you still need rings. Let's make one of our melee people harder to hit. Just clicked all the wrong options there. The stained lens. You examine a stained ground glass lens, the width of your hand, held in brushed steel ring. A small geared protrusion coming off the ring makes it look as if the lens should attach to some sort of clockwork machine, and it smells faintly of horrible perfume. Rishika holds it up for you. I've no idea what this really is, but it radiates fairly powerful magic. An old soldier named Geisis brought it up for me from the lower plane battlefield. He'd murdered his own men in order to escape his tour of duty there. He brought me a number of interesting items he'd collected over the course of the campaign. I've kept it mostly as a conversation piece, though you may have it for 149 copper coins if you'd like. What does it do? Stained lens. I need to use you to identify it. First. I have no idea what it is. And then I identify it from her. Use her to identify. I'm like, oh, so you could know the whole time. Great. Apparently some Modron once foolishly asked a wizard what it was like to be intoxicated, and these goggles were fashioned. When this lens is equipped, the wearer becomes braver, stronger, but can't see targets too well, reducing chances to hit and damage an enemy. Intoxicates wearer, immune to panic. You can make a robot panic. -1 damage, +10 to base hit points, -1 to missile weapons. Usable only by Modrons. I don't even have a Modron, and it's like actively bad for them. I'm gonna spare myself. The rune-covered ale stein. You examine a large pewter ale stein covered in strange runes. Rashika holds it up for you to see more closely. An ale mug of unusual manufacture, which keeps its contents usually bare of— yeah! There we go. Usually beer, of course. Icy cold, whatever the surrounding temperature. 299 copper commons, and you'll enjoy the frostiest ale you've ever had outside of the paraplane of ice. That's exactly what we wanted. This large pewter ale stein is of unusual manufacture. Its surface etched with strange runes. It seems it keeps its contents icy cold, whatever its surrounding temperature. Man, I probably could have identified that as being what it was. I think it was called like an ale stein or something. So if I fixated on that specific description, I probably could have realized that it likely could have solved my problem. Oopsie. A wanker, right?
All right.
Let's do this. Catch one in your frost ale mug. You dip the mug into the icy wind rising from the pedestal, catching a small shard with a slight clang. Peering into the mug, you can see that the dark bird is a razor-sharp sliver of black ice. Only the mug's magical properties prevent the shard from melting away to nothing. Yes, the amazing magical power of being a soup flask.
I'm gone.
Canteen, whatever it's called. Those tall cup things that people... Thermos. That's the term. Got there eventually. There we go. You should all leave comments answering the question anyway, though. Just as if I didn't do that. That's fun. The brothel was where... Yeah, the Civic Fest Hall. The brothel is where the character is that needs her memory, the key to her heart back. And in here was where the person was that has it. And they're the person that's always walking around at the back of this hallway. That's all they do. That's their whole personality, is they walk up and down this one hallway. It's just very funny they were described as being the guy who just walks up and down that hallway. I'm like, really? You never, like, read? Or, I don't know, do anything?
Well, have you something that will wipe my mind of these accursed memories? I certainly hope you haven't returned without. You'll never get the keys to Dolores' heart that way.
Here, take this mug. It holds a dark bird of Ocanthus, a sliver of ice from the River Styx. It should wipe your memories clean. Merrim takes the mug and removes a piece of paper from his pocket. He tilts the mug back and takes the ice into his mouth. It melts instantly, leaving him with a somewhat startled expression. I should have got the keys first. Merriman.
Updated my journal.
Merriman looks at you, confused, then at the paper in his hands. He reads aloud, "Congratulations, Merriman, you've begun again.
Thank the man in front of you and give him the key in your pocket. Speak to Splinter, the man at the door of the building, for more information. He looks to you again. Well, it would seem I owe you thanks, good sir. Here, take this key. I'd best find this Splinter fellow and find out what's going on. Thanks, Miriam. Good luck. He was a scumbag, but now he gets to start over, I guess. He just has no memory now. It's somebody. It's funny because it's somebody that's opting into our predicament. Is he actually looking for Splinter, or is he back to walking up and down this hallway forever? Where'd he go? Spooky. Maybe the moment you lose line of sight of him, he just disappears. He's not here with Splinter.
I'm gone.
I'm gone. Omelette deux, I'm gone.
All right.
Nenny Nine Eyes. These two characters, I think this Patron and Nenny both have the same character model. Let's see. Was it Vivian? I think it was Vivian. This area calls into attention how often I memorize characters by their locations, because this fucking room, everyone just walks around. No, almost nobody stays where I know of them for being. So I'm like, oh god, which one was it? I need to know their name, because they all look the same or reasonably similar. It's hard to distinguish sprites this far away, as opposed to like a 3D third-person game. And they move around, and they all have the same job. No, this is the scent person. Alright, what name am I looking for, game? Delora. Juliet. We didn't have to question Morte, but slowly we're getting more. We've been getting more and more party members, and I always think about, like, this is a recurring thing, but I have to think about how well justified party members are in a narrative. There we are. Like, I've thought about this before in the context. I don't think she's ever been in a room before. I think about this sometimes in the context of Dungeons and Dragons, and how, like, you're just a bunch of random dudes, and then the story just starts. And so sometimes you just start. I think about, like, Vox Machina. I have not watched Critical Role, but I've been watching Vox Machina, and in that one, you're just introduced to the party fully formed from the get-go, and then they're just assumed to be familiar with each other. And that's definitely one way to handle it. But in an RPG video game, you tend to meet people one by one, and sometimes it's like, oh, this person is tightly bound to the fate of the entire story. Or I think about, like, some of the games I've played, like, I think about different BioWare games to an extent. Like, in some of these cases, you're all from an area that got destroyed, and so you're kind of bound by this mission to deal with the big bad thing that happened. Sometimes you all collectively find out about this big bad thing, and you're the only people that are really moving to stop it, like in Mass Effect. So that kind of explains why everyone's involved and together on this thing. Like, they all got swept up on a big thing. It kind of varies from thing to thing. Sometimes somebody has a deeply personal debt because of the opening quest of how you meet them, and so they're, like, very much going to see this through because of their loyalty to you specifically. But sometimes they're just some dudes you kind of just met for 5 minutes, and then they just kind of stick with you for a shockingly long time, even as the stakes just keep growing and growing. And there's a couple of people in this game where I'm not entirely sure why they're following me this much. Like, why they'd be staying. I get why they joined my party for an initial mission at some point, in some cases, but I don't get why they stayed with me after that. And in some of their cases, it does feel like they're just curious about me, and that's about it. And that's the level of the of justification. But all of this could be a thing where like this game leaves the possibility for revelations wide open constantly because of the fact that it specifically takes your memory away and keeps having you hints that people might know you from the past. So any of these party members could be a part of some kind of plan, or could know me already, and they're like playing along with my lost memory on purpose, or any number of revelations could happen there potentially. Like on a different level though, like a game that I do or think about that I actually did finish is Pillars of Eternity, the first one. I've never played the second one yet. That game is really shaky with some of its party members. Like some of its party members, some of them have really good reasons for joining your party and sticking with you. Some of them are really very much like here for their own separate reasons that are completely unrelated to your mission and are not likely to be accomplished on the course of your mission in any particular way. And they kind of meet you by happenstance. And then after a relatively short conversation, they join your party. And then they just stay in your party for the rest of the game, all the way through the ending of your big stake story. But they don't, but like you can't have conversations with them that like reinforce their stakes in the narrative or explain why they're sticking with you this hard. Like the best you can imply is that you just kind of became friends and they're sticking with you, and they're just kind of unspokenly sticking out the mission. But it's in some of the cases it's hard to justify, and I think like one of the rougher ones I think was the archer dwarf character that has like this whole, she can explain this whole backstory of her whole culture and the specific mission she's on, and all that stuff's interesting and she seems neat, but it's so unconnected to the actual story, and her narrative is just not tied in any particular way to seeing out the story. At least I don't think it was. It's been years since I played the game at this point, and maybe one day I'll play the sequel. I'm a little terrified. As a reminder, when I first redid my schedule a little bit to specifically make it so that there's an hour-long slot for RPGs specifically, and everything else has half an hour slots, and RPGs have an hour-long slot. So if you break it down, RPGs have twice the coverage per week as any other playthrough, not counting multiplayer stuff like Overwatch or whatever. If you're confused, AAA stuff does, and the AAA/classic slot also is an hour long, but it's only 2 episodes a week instead of the 4 that everything else has. So it evens out to being the same as the indie and Patreon slots. It's specifically the RPG that has both 4 slots and they're an hour long. And the first one I did was Pillars of Eternity, and that was over 100 hours. That was over 100 episodes anyway. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this was a long one. Jesus. When I play a visual novel with Stephanie like Echo or Phoenix Wright, it also gets to be like 100 episodes long, but that's because we're talking and stuff. So we make it longer a fair bit because of that dynamic. But some of these games are just really long, and I'm scared of the fact that, like, if you're wondering why I've been putting it off for so long, I'm just kind of scared of the fact that Pillars of Eternity 2, by all accounts I've ever heard, is longer than Pillars of Eternity, which is the longest RPG I've ever played that isn't an MMO. So I'm just like, oh, when do I really want to sign up for that? I'm not sure. And like, will it be worth it? Like, are there enough people that actually want to watch that versus anything else I could be doing with the RPG slot? And I don't know if that's really a true answer either, but I also want to finish things I start, so I want to get back to that at some point. But finish things I start is Demulus, like, gotta work on finishing the whole Yakuza franchise, when am I gonna go back and play the other Dragon Age and Witcher games, and so on, like, completing every RPG franchise you start in particular is really daunting, even though they're not super long usually, because it's a niche genre that has largely died, so not a lot of new sequels coming out these days. Like, I've had the looming, like, when are you gonna play the rest of the franchise, ever since I played Witcher 3 and Diablo and Dragon Age Inquisition, and neither of those franchises have had a new game yet, and I played them in like 2014 and 2015, I think. So like, those are not stacking up. It's really just Yakuza that is an RPG series that's actively stacking sequels that I actually have any investment in going through, because I don't care about Final Fantasy or Tales or Dragon Quest, or really most JRPGs besides or Japanese action RPGs besides Yakuza. Anyway. Delora's eyes flash as she sees you. Did you find him? Has he agreed to return the keys to my heart? Yes. I have the keys to your heart. Here they are.
Updated my journal.
At last. As she takes the keys from your grasp, her hand brushes against yours. Her skin is dry but icy to the touch, like cold metal. These will be great use to me. I thank you. Of course, Delora. I have some questions. I was hoping to learn more about your nature. Delora blinks. Merriman never told me much regarding my construction. I know little of the inner workings of my body, much as you'd likely know little of yours. Outwardly, though, I am a human woman in all respects, save for the texture and temperature of my flesh. Does that satisfy your curiosity? What about your mind, your emotions? Its functions are as much a mystery to me as any human's. When I first came to this place, I did not understand emotions, nor have any of my own. I have feelings now, though I am only beginning to understand them. What do the keys do exactly? I can only assume that Merriman made the keys so that there would be no risk of me drawing away from him before he had tired of his experiment. Now that they are in my possession, I am free to develop and possess my own emotions. How does your mind work then? Wait, emotions? Talked about this already? Yeah, it's looping. What can you tell me about the silent prostitute?
Updated my journal.
Yes, her name is Echo. Her voice, and in fact her every means of communication, was stolen and destroyed. Echo's words once wooed away the paramour of the godling Paramisha. Paramisha, in a jealous rage, tore away Echo's voice, sealed it within a crystal vial, and hurled it into a Megogalamdraga's maw. Megogalamdraga. That's quite a thing to fly through. Echo's voice is forever lost to her. Only another new voice could return to her the ability to communicate once more. I know this because I spoke to Paramisha's paramour myself once. Okay. So, Nemike? Neem? I can't remember her name. Her name starts with an N, I think. The person that... Nine Eyes? Nine Eyes. I don't remember her actual name. Fuck, there's so many names. But she was wrong. She said that she claimed... I'm pretty sure she claimed that Echo said something so disastrous that she vowed to never speak again. Like it's a self-induced thing. That's why she refuses to communicate. That actually raises some questions, like why doesn't she communicate then? She could communicate anyway. She could absolutely communicate in non-verbal ways, but she refuses those too, so it makes me wonder if Delora's right even. But it seems to indicate that I should just give her that tongue that I heard about or found. Do I have it right now? Or is it at the store? You know anything about a Ravel puzzle well?
Updated my journal.
I know that she was... or is, should she still be, okay. I know that she was, or is, should she be numbered among the living, a night hag of great power and inestimable evil. The Lady of Pain banished her to an extra-dimensional prison for crimes against the city of Sigil. You would do well to speak to Eves of her. She knows a great many tales, can likely tell you Ravel's. What are you doing here? I, like the other women here, are a student of Mistress Grace. She tutors us in ways of dialogue and verbal intercourse. Many of the intercourse, not discourse. Most of the students will go on to become members of the Society of Sensation, having come to study beneath the mistress in preparation for the faction's initiation rites. Do you enjoy it here? I am learning much. This pleases me, yes. She smiles for a moment. The expression seems awkward on her pale face, as if it was somehow foreign to her.
You said something about initiation rites. You would do well to seek answers to such questions from Mistress Grace. Okay. That's enough from her then. Yeah, she was the first person I talked to, if I remember correctly, and she wouldn't really talk to me any further because, there's the tongue. It's really funny that this person right next door just has the solutions to almost everyone's problems here, just in her store. Just a bizarre, esoteric level series of things. Like, they are basically the Wizard of, like, yeah, that shop owner is basically the Wizard of Oz. It's like, and you regained the ability here's your courage heart, and here's your, you know what I mean. I haven't watched the Wizard of Oz in like half my life, honestly. But everyone had a specific thing they were missing, and then like, and you get this, and you get, did that even happen? I don't remember if everyone gets a gift that is the thing they looked for all along, or if it was like, is that Echo? Their names are so hard to read. They're all stacked over here. Or I don't remember if it was that, or it was like, turns out your courage was the friends you made along the way. Like their journey improved them all, and they don't need the gifts anymore. I don't remember. Anyway, bad analogy. Fuck me. This striking young woman has skin the color of burnished copper. A translucent white dress held precariously by golden clasps is draped carefully over her shapely form. Greetings again. Are you silent because of a broken heart? Shakes her head. Do you know the word that will undo the multiverse if it's spoken? Okay, so everyone said something else about her, and all of their answers are wrong, basically. Her eyes widen in surprise, and then she gives you a beaming smile, rolling her head and eyes and shaking her head. I will open one of my 6 mouths and sing the song that ends the earth. It's a weird throwaway penny arcade comic from half my life ago about people saying that Warhammer's a ripoff of Warcraft, not the other way around. But it just ends with the sentence, it's the phrase, I will sing the song that ends the earth. And that's just in my brain forever, more than anything that has ever been written by that comic or most people. It's just, what a phrase. It's a thing where they're like, but they're ripping off Blizzard, and then the Tycho character, I guess, just like claims that he's going to kill himself, go to hell, overthrow the devil, and then come back to the world with the army of the damned that he has collectively that he has conquered, and end the planet, but also specifically the person saying this thing that he's mad at. But all with pretty, like, fairly dripping prose and fun Lovecraftian, like, cosmic horror, nightmarish descriptions of everything that's just, like, very comically extreme. It's goofy, because, like, a lot of those comics were dumb, and a lot of them were, like, very self-serious and very kind of cringe a lot of the time, and people, and, like, yelling at various figures, and just the number of soapbox comics and so on just gets a lot. But in this very specific context, where one of the main characters is just going way overboard in an incredibly, like, comically, just intensely written response, just to one of them misunderstanding the lineage of Warhammer and World of Warcraft. It's just funny. It's just a goofy, dumb thing, but specifically that line, I think about it periodically, and it just gets in there. Are you emotionally wounded? Is that why you can't speak? Oopsie. Did your voice cause someone's death or some other tragedy? She pauses, opens her mouth, and frowns. After a moment, she shakes her head. So apparently she does communicate, but she refused any other form of communication, seemingly, I thought we tried to propose other ways of communicating. Are you emotionally wounded? Is that why you can't speak? She looks at you strangely and shakes her head slowly. Was your voice stolen?
Updated my journal.
She nods vigorously, clasping her hands together and smiling at you. Do you know of any way to get your voice back? She shakes her head, her face wrought with frustration. She suddenly looks at you pleadingly as if expecting an answer. I'll need to know your name to ask about your voice. Is it Echo?
Updated my journal.
She nods, smiling pleasantly. I swear I'll look for a way to return your voice. She nods to you slowly, smiling at you with eyes full of gratitude. Okay, so she wants her voice back. I was wrong about her entire character. I guess people just said a lot of questionable things, but it's the handful that matched all mixed in with the version that she caught, that her voice, her speaking is a tragedy, so she's doing it willingly, and her just total, the fact that I would ask for a variety of questions and she would just refuse and or not even make any attempt to communicate despite being in a communication-based location was just so baffling to me that I had to just accept that she must be doing it on purpose. Because she's been here not speaking for longer than some of the other people have even been here, so like that's why there's rumors and so on. It's like, what's the, like, surely, like her not having any alternative for communication is just strange?
Updated my journal.
Updated my journal. You're not Echo, you're other character model. Echo looks at you hopefully as you approach her, biting her lower lip. I've gotten this fiend's tongue for you, not friend's tongue. She raises her eyebrow and gives you a skeptical look. I'm told that, should you place it in your mouth, you'll regain the ability to communicate. She nods and takes the bottle from you. She gingerly picks out the severed tongue from the briny solution and, after staring at it for a moment in disgust, places it into her mouth. Honestly, she adjusted to the idea of putting it in her mouth faster than expected, all things considered. Suddenly, her eyes widen and there is a burst of reddish light from between her lips. Are you all right? Echo speaks. Echo opens her mouth, closes it, then opens it once more, and speaks. I can speak again. Oh, joy, I thank... Damn thee to the darkest of pits, thou stench-ridden worm! Kneel before me in supplication, insect! Yikes! Eh? Echo yelps and covers her mouth with both hands. Her eyes are wide with panic. It must be the fiend's tongue.
Updated my journal.
She slowly takes her hands away from her mouth, nodding. It seems I must devour thy frail shell and consign thy soul to the abyss for all eternity. Thou shalt serve in my battle thrall till the plains grind to a halt. Thou art mine, mine, mine. Echo shuts her mouth again and begins to softly, quietly weep. Wait, try using these divas' tears. They should soothe the tongue's cursing. Do I already have the solution for this?
My journal.
On hand. I'm getting so much experience. Oh my god. So 30,000 for that. How much did I get from the... Nope, giving her the tongue did not give me experience. I'm like, I thought I was getting even more. She nods, smiling, and takes the vial from you. Echo places a few of the sparkling blue drops on her tongue. I believe the tears are working. Yes, they are. I can speak in my own voice once more. Oh, how I thank you. Echo squeezes your hand and bows her head gratefully, her eyes welling with tears of joy. It was my pleasure to help. Farewell, Echo.
In knowing the teachings of Zerthamon, I have become stronger.
A reform party. I just want to drag and drop them. I don't want to remove them from my party because I feel like they're going to drop their inventory and that's just not worth the effort. Oh well. Level up the lady. Oh, she didn't get any of those points. Just a stat up. 78 hit points. She has the most of anyone now. You do not. Just better spell memorization. Ice knife. Knives to meet ya. Now you can use force missiles because they have a new ability of that tier now. That's nice.
Right.
That's a good thing to
I'm
have.
gone.
Okay, so we're getting there. I can't do this one or this one. So we're these two are the same quest. Find the birdcage festooned with razor blades.
I'm gone.
I have finally solved the problems of all of the people in this. Oh, I was told to talk to you. Eve's the tail chaser. Tail chaser being a funny ha 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 pun because or play on words because tail chaser normally means chasing ass, like being a bit of a slutto man. But here we are in a brothel, but it's she's a tail chaser because she's a talking, she's a word slut. Get it? What a thing. Morte, do you have a story to trade? Me? Why do I have to tell a story? Because everyone else has. Fine, fine. An elderly man was sitting alone in a dark path, right? He wasn't certain of which direction to go. He'd forgotten both where he was traveling to and who he was. He'd sat down for a moment to rest his wearied legs and suddenly looked up to see an elderly woman before him. She grinned toothlessly and with a cackle spoke. Now your third wish, what will it be? Like he lost his memory or something? He doesn't seem to remember the previous wishes. Third wish? The man was baffled. How can it be a third wish if I haven't made the first and second wish? You've had 2 wishes already, the hag said, but your second wish was for me to return everything to the way it was before you made your first wish. That's why you remember nothing, because everything's the way it was before you made any wishes. Except for your wish count, apparently. It seems like an exception. She cackled at the poor Burke. So it is that you have 1 wish left. All right, said the man. I don't believe this. There's no harm in wishing. I wish to know who I am. Funny, said the old woman as she granted her wish and disappeared forever. That was your first wish. It's a reference. I feel like this is all, I feel like this is at the expense of us. Like we're trying to regain our own history, but then maybe every time we try to regain our own history, we also then want to forget it again. And Eve smiles. An interesting tale, Morte. And now I've one for you and your companion, the Fiend's game. A fiend sometimes wandered the wilderness on a certain prime world in the guise of a friendly old man. One day, he came upon some hunters in the wood. What are you doing? The fiend asked. The hunters told him, and the fiend nodded. I have never been on a hunt before. The hunters invited the old man to come along. The group eventually came upon a glade where several deer were grazing. The hunters carried crossbows but did not fire, and the fiend asked them why. They are unarmed, the hunters chuckled, patting their crossbows. We hunt nothing that does not have the ability to defend itself. After all, where is the sport in that? The fiend nodded at this and promptly gated in 3 of his fellows. The hunters led them on a merry chase, but eventually they were caught and eaten. We only fight things that can fight back, and then they hunted the hunters and ate them. Welp. Bad news for them. Also, grim take for the hunters too. There's a grimness in hunting in general, but saying that they wouldn't hunt deer because they can't defend themselves implies that they're out there hunting man, which is its own kind of alarming. It implies that it makes it sound like they're cannibals or murderers that just want to hunt people for fun.
Or they're racist and they're hunting other races specifically, like elves or whatever. Not all good options there. Do you know anything about Ravel Puzzlewell? It could be Ravel, Ravel, or Ravel, so enjoy yelling and arguing about that one forever. Is it Micah or Misha? The tale of Ravel Puzzlewell, frightener of children, begins and ends with a question. What can change the nature of a man? Oh. Like what, like, almost like I'm unraveling, get it? I'm pretty sure that what can change the nature of the man is like the slogan of this game or something, so this is up there with the tattoo being Torment. So Ravel Puzzlewell is incredibly important in the narrative, it seems. Many were the times she posed this riddle to those who approached her, those who sought to glean from her the strange magics that she alone seemed to possess. All attempted to answer her query, but to no avail. And they found the price of their wrong answer to be some horrible fate, always more terrible than the last victims. To recount their various torments would be to speak of things that nightmares are woven from. The tale strikes me in this way. Ravel herself knew not the answer to this question, but she lusted for such an answer. Only the why of the matter remained in question. Why did the nature of a man matter to one of the Grey Sisters, especially to one such as of such power as Ravel? It is said that she put the question to the Lady of Pain, not directly, but shouted it to Sigil itself, daring for the lady to answer. When no reply was forthcoming, she wove terrible magics that threatened to open the cage and let the fury of the plains roll in like a wave. She received no answer other than banishment. To this day, no one knows the answer to Ravel's question. And now, there is no one to petition, for Ravel herself is gone, lost to the plains.
Updated my journal.
Updated my journal. And that's the end of that story.
All right.
Well, it's not the end. We're about to be getting an update at some point by continuing it. But it's seemingly where she has paused.
I'm gone.
Wandering forever in a maze of city with no one else seemingly. Where she infinitely, she made us immortal. Now she wanders forever while pondering her question eternal. What changes the nature of a man?